Hello and welcome back to Cowboy Insiders. As the NFL free agency is off and running, and we are keeping a track of every major signings, a trade, and release of the 2026 off-season with analysis from our NFL national reporters and grades from our experts. The new league year began on March 11th, and the first round of 2026 NFL Draft begin on April 23. So here is a breakdown of every 2026 NFL free agencies deal by the Dallas Cowboys and how each will impact upcoming season. And also the next we'll talk about some of NFL draft in the Dallas Cowboy and the players signing with Dallas Cowboy in NFL draft mocks. So if you didn't make subscribe on Cowboy Insiders, please make subscribe, and it is for the first time. Make subscribe, like, share, and comments in order to build our Cowboy Insiders fans. Jalen Thompson. John Thompson matching up with Asetlo, Jackson Smith, and Jigubua was a full-time starter in Arizona. The past 5 seasons, the former Cardinal agreed a 3-year deal with a maximum of $33 million. The Cowboys made their first splash free agency agreement since adding a cornerback Brandon Carr on 5 years, which will worth about $50 million deal in 2026. Thompson fills a major need in a secondary for the Cowboys. He has been full-time starter at the past 5 seasons with Arizona and also has 9 career interceptions. He can fill a multiple roles for a new coordinator, Christian Parker, and has familiarity on the coaching staff with a new corners with a coach Ryan Smith. The Cowboys need communicator in the secondary, and the Thompson can make sure everybody is on of the same page. He is a young, turning 28 in July, but has an experience to help a secondary grow in a Dallas Cowboys. Next is Kobe Durant. Kobe Durant is joining a Dallas Cowboy on 1 year's deal which will worth about $6 million. Durant started 39 of 61 games in his 4 years with the Rams and they recorded 7 interceptions and returning 2 for touchdowns. Between 5 and 11 foot and 181 pounds, he is not a large cornerback, but he has shown the ability to match up well with a bigger receivers. The Cowboys have question on the position with Dallon Bland and Shavon Levers Jr. and Colin Carson playing through injuries last year, and the Bland is rehabbing from off-season foot surgery. The Cowboys hope Rivera will make a secondary year jump after missing the first 9 games last season, recovering from a torn ACL. This means Dallon was on rehabilitation and recovering from ACL injury. Durant has some experience playing in a slot, which could be a bonus for the Cowboys, but his addition would not prevent them from selecting a corners with one of their first 2-round picks in upcoming NFL draft mocks. Then also, The Sam Williams, he is the defensive end in re-upping on 1 year deal which will worth about $3 million US. The former Cowboys second round picks return on low cost and low risk move. He had 1 sack last season after coming back from a torn ACL and starting 5 of 17 games. He has credited with 38 tackles and 25 pressures and 6 tackles for loss, a fumble recovery and forced fumble. He had 8.5 sacks in the first 2 years before the injury. So perhaps a change in a scheme under a Packer can up his pass rusher production in 2026. While the trade of Lashan Gully means more for the defense, signing Williams shouldn't take the Cowboys out of adding more help in free agencies or using one of their top picks on pass rusher in the NFL draft. So, Dallas Cowboy also agreed 1 year deal with a maximum of $3 million with a former Charger, Otito Agbonia. Defensive tackles doesn't seem like a major need when the Cowboys already have Quinnen Williams, Ken Duck, and Solomon Thomas. Also plus 2025 draft picks J. Toia. But Agonia can play a role. A Packer wants to keep a fresh rotation of linemen in his defense. Ogbonia was limited to 9 games last season because of injury, but he had 14 pressures and a half sack. He has started 20 career games and 81 tackles. Between 6 foot and 4 and 320 pounds, he has a size to help a bolster on the front. PG Loki, the former Broncos safety, will join also Dallas with 1 year contract. Catch up on NFL free agencies, top remaining players, and grading deals, ranking 32 classes, and lingering questions, and every team signing more reactions. After agreeing to deal with a Thompson on Monday, Aloki is a second safety to be brought aboard. The Cowboys reworked the deal for one of the last year's starter, Malik Hooker, and have Max Kisbell on roster. So the safety group looks filled out. Aloki started 26 games in 6 years in Denver, and he had an interception in the Broncos playoff win versus a Buffalo in this year in January. If the Cowboys believe a Thompson can play the nickel spot full time, that opens up opportunities for a Aloki, who has 174 tackles and 7 tackles for a loss in his career. At the very least, he brings a veteran depth and also can be a core special teamers in the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys didn't really need another quarterback with last year's loan. So Dak Prescott and Joe Milton III and Will Glee under contract, but they brought on fourth arm Howard, who ended last season with Philadelphia after spending time with Minnesota made the first start of his career against the Cowboys in 2022 while with Washington and got the wins. For his career, he has recorded 22 touchdowns passes and 23 interceptions. So can he compete for the backup jobs held by Milton last season? Is he just another arm for the off-season program? It's a fly on a guy, and Cowboys would like to see what he has. There is no really risk here. Hennessy essentially replaces a block Hoffman who has been valuable reserve central and guards the past two seasons and has not tended as a restricted free agents. Hennessy has started 24 games, including the games in Atlanta. He has a third-round pick out of Tampa for Atlanta in 2025 and played for the Falcons and San Francisco the past 6 seasons. The Cowboys needed interior offensive line depth and have a TG Bass who started late last season at the left guards and is restricted as a free agent. The Cowboys tendered a bus at a second-round level of $6 million. Adrian Hendrick also, which have been already signed a new contract with the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk with what will help the Dallas Cowboys in this season. The former Rams signed 1 year millions contract that could max about. The Cowboys believe that a team can never have enough corners. They added a Kobe Durant in the first week of free agents. They re-signed a lady Setward and Kendrick, who has 3 interceptions in 47 games with the Rams, and Seahawks in his career, which have a chance to earn a roster spot this summer. But look for the Cowboys to add at least one more cornerback in a draft, perhaps in the first round. The former Santa Claus is joining a Dallas on 1 year deal. Contract is a Jonathan Bullard. Bullard is another rotational piece for defensive line. He is entering his 11th season and has played for 6 teams, including the New Orleans Saints last year. But he has a background with a new defensive line coach Marcus Dixon, having spent 3 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings in the Dallas Cowboys. George Pickens recorded a career high in reception of 93 yards and 1,429 and touchdowns of 9, so establishing him as one of the premier playmakers in the NFL. To ensure they can keep him around in 2006, the Cowboys used the franchise tag on Pickens, which will pay him approximately $27 million. The two sides can still work on a long-term deal, but there is no indication that the Dallas Cowboys will even entertain an extension at this point. That's why a Bleacher Report, Christopher Knox, says a draft day trade is possible for the Dallas Cowboys to extend the long contract with George Pickens. So what would shake up the entire NFL draft? According to ESPN's Todd Archer, the Cowboys have not had discussions with Pickens about a long-term deal. If an extension doesn't seem either likely or sensible, trading Pickens and getting a receiver on a rookie contract could be an option, an oxalot. It might not be an option for a Dallas Cowboy where are likely to exercise. However, if prospects like Arizona State, a Jordan Grayson, and Ohio State are a Cornell Tate, or Mukai Lemon is sitting there, whether a Dallas is on the clock, it's one that could become more appealing. And having a Pickens land with another team while a top receiver comes off the board to the Dallas could certainly send a shockwave through the NFL. Assuming the Cowboys were open to trading a George Pickens, an ideal return would be the first round pick. That's not incredibly likely given his history and the salary he is setting to command. However, that means more realistic return would be a second round selection. So a Dallas currently doesn't have selection in a second round, and adding one might allow them to truly rebuild the defensive side of the ball. So there is many reasons why the Cowboys could be comfortable trading a wide receiver, George Pickens. For the Cowboys, trading Pickens wouldn't be completely about the return. While they would be getting more bucks than what they traded for a Pickens in 2025, the real reason they would be open to the move is to avoid paying another receiver high dollar contract after extending a CeeDee Lamb contract in 2024. This only makes sense. However, if there is a viable wide receiver, perhaps they do not dart in Elian Flowner, who had a strong second season in the NFL. If the Cowboys believe a Flowner could take another steps this year, they might be more comfortably trading a Pickens and adding more firepower to their defense. The Dallas Cowboys are armed with two first-round picks in 2026 NFL Draft. With just 3 weeks until the festivity kicks off on the North Shore in the Pittsburgh, the Dallas has plenty of option when a draft rolls around as it continues looking to improve the roster. A common opinion is that the Dallas Cowboys should use both first-round picks on the star and defensive prospect to improve their put lead unity, which ranked number 13 overall in the league last season. But what if the team decided to use some extra picks to move around in the NFL draft order? That's exactly what Bruce Feldman of The Athletic suggests for the Cowboys should do. In this latest mock draft, Feldman has the Cowboys making a major trade with Arizona Cardinals to land the player number 3 overall picks in the draft. So you would think the Cowboys would have to give up both first-round picks to enter the top 3, right? Not if you are a Feldman. His trade proposal has the Cowboys pulling off the draft day haste that would send the number 12 overall picks and the team third rounder to the Cardinal pick number 3 to land the Texas Tech superstar David Baylor. And also, the Dallas Cowboys targets 4 wide receivers in 2026 NFL Draft and mocks. A wide receiver might not be pressing needs for the Dallas Cowboys, but they could still consider adding one of these 4 prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft. The NFL Draft takes place in 3 weeks, and the Dallas Cowboys currently have 2 picks in the round 1 and 8 selection overall. They are expected to focus on defense early, which makes sense considering this side of the ball was disaster for them in 2025. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer wouldn't rule out an offensive player in round 1.